Today we are doing all of the data display, so all different ways to set up data. So the first one that we're going to do is a stem and leaf plot. Now stem and leaf plots arrange data into the tens place and into the ones place. The leaves are always going to be the ones place. Sorry about that. These are the leaves. And the tens place would be the stems. Now, if it's for something that's over 100, then it would be 1, 0 for 10 tens. And then this would be your ones place, your leaves. All right. Now, just as a reminder, if the data isn't at least 10, then the tens place would be a 0. 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. All right. So here we've got a stem and leaf plot that we need to make. So 12, 24, 9, 32, yada, yada, yada. Now, I can tell that the lowest number here is going to have a stem of 0 or a leading digit of 0. And then we go all the way up. We've got things with a 10, a 20s, and all the way up into the 30s. So what I always like to do is I like to start by putting the data in order from least to greatest, because it's going to help you make sure that you get all of them. And I like to cross them out as I go. Oh, 17, 18. See, this is why you cross things out. Let's see. And there's a 21, a 22, 24, 25. Uh, 29, 2 32s, a 33, and a 36. Sorry, you can tell my computer is rebelling here. All right, so now what I can do is I can separate these out. So this 8 is really 0, 8. And this 9 is really 0, 9. So they're both going to go with the stem of 0. For all of these guys, 12 was really 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 7, 1, 8. Oh, sorry, can't talk and write at the same time. We're just putting the 8. So when you're reading this, 18, 1, 8, 1, 18. For all of my 20s, I've got 21, 22, 24, 25, 29. And then for my 30s, I've got 32, 32, 33, and 36. All right, so this kind of just helps you to split up the data, right? Look at where do you have most things between 0 and 9, most things in the 20s, most things in the 30s, right? It helps you visualize that. So down here, we've got how you'll usually see it in 9th grade, which is a two-sided stem and leaf plot. And I know this is a little bit blurry on my screen, but in the middle, we have the zeros. We have male and female on both sides. So this number is 0, 2, 0, 5, 0, 7, 0, 8, or 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, or yeah, 0, 3, 0, 8. All right, something like this would be 25, 2, 5. Or if you read it on this side, 26. All right, so it is the same idea, back to back. The middle is going to be all of our tens, and then each side is going to be how many there are. So the first part, how many clubs have 25 men? Well, men, I'm going to look at the left-hand side. I want 20s. 25, there are 2 of them. So 2 clubs have 25 men in them. Over here, how many clubs have more than 8 women? Well, here is 8 women. So all of these guys and all of these guys, right? All the 10s and all the 20s. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 clubs have more than 8 women. I'm not actually counting that one club that has exactly 8 women. And then for the last one, it says, what is the difference? Remember, difference is a math word that means to subtract between the most women and the most men. Well, the most men is going to be 28 men. And on the other side, the most women is going to be 28 as well. So in this case, the difference is 0. Both clubs have the same maximum amount of women and men. All right, so let's talk about the next kind. The next kind is dot plots. All right, now these guys are arranged on a number line. And you usually put dots, or sometimes if the dots are hard to see when you're drawing it with your pen or a pencil, we can put X's there. All right, so here it says the time each student spent studying. So it could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so let's mark those off. Do your best to make them equidistant from each other, same distance apart. And then the last one is 30 plus. All right, so here for 5 minutes studying, we have 2 kids. So if you're using dots, which is how you'd see them on a computer screen, we would just put 2 dots above the number 5. Or if you have a hard time seeing dots when you write them, you can also draw 2 little X's. I usually draw X's because they're easier to see. So 2 people spent 5 minutes studying. 1 person spent 10 minutes studying. 3 people spent 15 minutes studying, so 3 X's or 3 dots. 4 people spent 20 minutes studying. 5 people spent 25 minutes studying. 5 people spent 30 minutes studying. And then only 2 people spent more than 30 minutes. So this kind of shows you the high points are where a lot of kids spent time. So you can see a lot of them spent time in this 20 to 30 minute range. Not a whole lot of people spent 5 minutes. Not a whole lot of people spent more than 30. All right, so here, how many students spent less than 15 minutes studying? So remember, if it just says less, we're not counting the 15 minutes. So there are 3 dots that are less than 15 minutes. Over here, between 20 and 30 minutes. Now this one is going to be kind of pedantic, right? If it just says less than 15 minutes, you cannot count 15 minutes exactly. Between 20 and 30 minutes, sometimes if it's inclusive, we do count 20 and 30. Sometimes if it's exclusive, we don't. If it says between, we usually do count those, right? So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Anytime it says between, that is usually an inclusive word. All right, and then for the last one, how many students are in the class? Well, that's just counting up every single one of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So there are 22 kids in the class. All right, for the next one, we're going to do frequency tables. Now, frequency tables, we count how many data points are in a range or in an interval. So we don't really care about the specific number. We just count, we want to know how many kids got around 65 to 70. How many golfers scored between 76 and 80. I don't care what the exact ones are. I just kind of care where they're grouped up. So I usually do these by tally marks or any counting method you'd have. All right. Between 65 and 70. So I am including 65 and I am including 70. And you can tell that because the next one doesn't start until we get to 71. All right, so all the numbers between 65 and 70. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3 numbers there. All the numbers between 71 and 75. Looks like there's 9. All the numbers between 76 and 80. Looks like there's 3. And then between 81 to 85, just the 1. All right, so this is just counting up how many scores happen in each section. All right, and then for the last one, a histogram just puts that bit into a graph. So first off, when we fill this in, along the x-axis, each of these bars are going to represent an interval. So if you guys remember over here, the first interval was from 65 to 70. So this bar is going to be labeled 65 to 70. And then 71 to 75, 76 to 80, and then 81 to 85. Right? Now notice these bars are touching because you're either in one section or immediately in the next. So no gaps between them. And then along the y-axis, this is where we're going to count how many there were. So this bar is going to represent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then that very top one is going to be 10. Now all we're going to do is we're going to kind of color this guy in to match up with the last. So here, between 65 and 70, 3 people have a bit. So between 65 to 70, we're going to color in this bar so that it is 3 tall. And hopefully do a better job at coloring in than I can on this computer screen, because this is going to take me a minute. For the next one, between 71 to 75, 9 data values. So we're going to bring this bar all the way up to 9. And same thing, color that in. Do a better job coloring in than I'm going to. I just don't want to spend a lot of time in it. Between 76 to 80, there were 3. So this bar should also go 3 high. And then for the last one, 81 to 85, only 1. So this bar would only be 1 tall. Right? So this is another way of representing a frequency table. And as you can tell, the visuals are usually a lot more striking. You can really tell that most of the scores are in this red bar here. All right, so when it asks how many golfers were in the tournament, well, I know 3 people scored in this range, plus another 9, plus another 3, plus another 1. So that's going to be a total of 16 people. You can count the height of each bar and add them all up. When over here, when it said how many golfers scored a 75 or less. Now this one is going to be inclusive. We're including that 75 in there. Well, this bar right here, this red bar is scored 75 or less. So is this black bar here. So 3 plus 9 would make 12. All right. Over here, what percentage of golfers took more than 75 shots? So now I gave you a little reminder. Percentage is the part divided by the total and then multiplied it by 100. We're going to round to the nearest whole number today. So first off, we've got to figure out how many took more than 75 shots. Well, that's these 3 guys right here plus another one. So that is 4. So 4 people took more than 75 shots, divided by the 16 total, and then we're going to multiply that answer by 100. And that gives us 25%. And then for the last question, it's asked for the median. Now remember, the median is the middle number. Now we can kind of perform some trickery here, and I'm going to choose a color that's going to show up very well. I know that 3 people scored in this section, and they have to be the lowest scorers. So if I can cross out the 3 highest, would be those 3 over there. And then I can cross out 1 more from each side. And I don't even have to try and find which one is the middle here. The middle one has to be between 71 and 75. All right, so I can start crossing off lowest and highest until I can find, hey, the middle needs to be somewhere in this bar right here.